Welcome, everybody. Some really quick thoughts on Disney The Gallery, Mandalorian, Season 2, Episode 2, about the finale. A lot of cool stuff in there, so if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend go and watch it. A lot of cool stuff to glean, and I'm just going to give you a quick couple thoughts, that I kind of walked away with it and wanted to just quickly chat about. So number one, it is clear that Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and then Peyton Reed, obviously the director of the finale, their love for Star Wars is like insane, and the amount of care they have for Star Wars is crazy. And it is obviously, this episode was really focused on the finale and really focused on the Luke moment, and it is clear, and they say as much, is that they wanted to not only bring Luke back because they all talked about, Dave and John talked about how this is the one character it made sense to hand off to Grogu. Narratively wise, and a character that fans would trust. Oh my God, you're finally giving away the baby. Like, who's it going to go to? It makes sense. It's Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill even says that, he's he doesn't know Ahsoka exists, right? So he says he's the only one who knows what Yoda's species is. So of course it has to be Luke. So they talk about all that care, why it had to be Luke. And then they also talk about, they obviously don't reference the sequel trilogy, but you can tell it's part of this conversation. They talk about, you didn't ever really get to see that post Return of the Jedi Luke. Up until the sequel trilogy, right? There's still a 30-year gap of Luke building, the Jedi Temple. Like we never got to see any of that part, right? So they thought it was a lot of care to demonstrate that Luke for the fans, which obviously the fans love. Obviously, this is what the fans took from it. Like, this was the Luke Skywalker we were waiting for. Everyone wanted to see Luke, that post Return of the Jedi. Mark Hamill even talked about it. He was referencing James Bond, like seeing all the stuff he took to become a spy, and then the second he's a spy, there's no more James Bond movie. So it was like Luke finally becoming that Jedi, and then you never see him again. So of course everyone wanted to see full Jedi Luke, and they give us that little taste of it. Again, just how careful they are. Like, they talk about how much Luke is too much Luke, how little Luke is too little Luke. That complete balance, and where the point is, this is a show about the Mandalorian. This show is the Mandalorian. Luke can't just come in and just, destroy everything that they've built up to that point, right? Like, it can't become the Luke Skywalker show. So they talk about that delicate balance of giving the fans what they want, staying true to the Mandalorian as a show. And I thought that was great. And as a side note, Peyton Reed comes off awesome here, for me anyways. I know some people were down a little bit on, I believe it was it episode 2 of season 2, the one with the spiders. They thought maybe that was one of the weaker episodes. I personally liked it, and I loved the way he choreographed that X-Wing chase at the beginning. The whole setup and, the diving through the clouds in the canyon. I thought that was great. The way they visually set that up and shot that. And I thought there was a lot of suspense with the spiders. Yes, it didn't push the narrative forward. Yes, we had Frog Lady with the eggs and lots of stuff going on, but I enjoyed it. I really think after seeing a lot of this, maybe, there's some more future Star Wars properties for maybe him to get his hands on the future, because he definitely sounds like someone who cares, right? He's comes off as a huge fan. Sounds like he cares immensely about this property. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I definitely want to touch on some Kathleen Kennedy stuff. She is brought up in this video, and she's brought up by John as being very supportive. And I think the key nugget here we hear is she was brought in at the very early stages of the whole Luke Mandalorian discussions, and she's a supportive partner, yada yada yada. My thoughts on this, and I know, so I'm not a Kathleen hater, but I'm not a Kathleen lover as well. You could throw me in the middle. I think she gets some well-deserved flack, but I also think she gets a lot of unnecessary hate. She's an easy target for fans to pick on, especially with how you feel about the sequel trilogy. But, sequel trilogy in the rearview mirror. We've had Clone Wars Season 7 from her. We've had The Mandalorian. We've had Bad Batch coming out. It's been good quality pipeline of Star Wars stuff, and there's a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon. So as much as she is to blame for some things, she does need some credit. And the whole part of her being involved early in the process, the only reason I wanted to bring that up was there was a ton of rumors at the time floating out there that Kathleen was, I think they said like she was like livid that the fact that they hid Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill's return from her. You know, she's angry that the male hero has returned. Like, those were some of the narratives and rumors that were coming out on the whole hate mongering going on with Kathleen. So just, assuming what John is saying in this is accurate, and it's not, being voluntold, and it's not, just classic company speak. The moral of the story is don't believe every single rumor you hear. Yes, there's some truth to a lot of things, but there's also a lot of fake stuff out there, and a lot of people use it to push their own narratives. With how much stuff was coming out with Kathleen, I'm surprised they weren't reporting what she was eating for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Like, it was insane there for a little bit, the amount of obsession people had with her. So like her or not, that's just my opinion. So let's move on. And now, so the majority, a really hefty part of this episode is spent on the technology to de-age Luke, which I thought was probably the weakest part of the finale. Everything was exceptional except for the final product we got on Luke's face, to the point where Lucasfilm even hired, the YouTube deepfaker because theirs was better. So it sounded like they were almost trying to justify themselves to the fans. Look at all the work we put in. It's very hard to do. Sorry it didn't turn out the way you wanted, and the technology is evolving, and one day it will be perfect where the eye cannot distinguish it. So that's more or less what I took from it. An interesting thing from one of the workers, I can't remember what her name was, but she was talking about why the digital face de-aging stuff is so hard to do is just because humans have an innate ability to detect a real human face. So it's so hard to trick the human eye. And when she said that really rang true with me on how it's, you could have the best technology out there, but it still might not, fool everybody that it actually isn't something that's real. So I thought that was interesting. So a couple more points. I thought it's kind of funny that Plo Koon was the placeholder for Luke the whole time, to the point where they actually had Plo Koon art, Plo Koon CGI on the body. So that was neat. And then the other interesting thing too is it makes sense, but I don't know if like Dave hypothesized, a lot of people might not realize this, but Ahsoka Tano would be the better duelist. And it was mentioned in regards to lightsaber combat, but I don't know if Dave meant it overall. But they were really careful of making Luke's lightsaber combat very similar to Return of the Jedi, because after that there was nobody to really practice lightsaber combat with. Like, Luke's been on his own, so his skills are a little bit unrefined compared to someone like Ahsoka, who is his senior and has crazy amounts more training. I don't think he meant that Ahsoka is a more powerful Jedi, but I think he meant that Ahsoka is definitely more skilled in a few areas, which I thought was interesting. And it's a meeting I would love to see on camera. I've hypothesized before on why they haven't met, but I got a feeling these two can't keep coexisting with how powerful they are. It's got to happen. Anyways, so that was my thoughts on the episode. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace out.